Hello everyone and welcome to the 4th episode of Should You Farm It? Today we are taking a look at Captain Traunt, a boss found on Athenas, and someone you have to defeat as part of the story. As always, I have killed this boss 50 times and wrote down all of the loot he dropped in my spreadsheet, so I can let you know whether or not it's worth your time farming him. Let's start off by taking a look at what kind of drop rates I had when fighting Traunt. Out of the 50 fights, I had a total of 41 legendaries drop for me, giving an 82% overall legendary drop rate. That seems like a reasonable enough drop rate on its own, but the only reason it's that high is because bosses will often drop multiple legendaries at once. On 22 of the fights, I didn't get a single legendary, which made the farming process feel a little empty at points. There were just a lot of fights where I would kill the boss and have nothing good drop. Even in terms of purples, they weren't dropping in droves, and there were a few fights where I didn't get a single orange or purple item. As for the legendaries that did drop, they were a real mix, and I don't think I got any specific legendary item more than twice. I did manage to get 4 anointed legendary guns, resulting in an 8% chance of an anointed legendary, which seems pretty standard from what I found in my boss farming so far. Something which I got more drops of than I'm used to was cosmetics. I got 8 different skins, heads and decorations from Captain Traunt, and even found one in the red chest just beyond his arena. The majority of these items I had already learned during my time with the game, but there were still a few new ones mixed in there, including the sure why not legendary Beastmaster skin, which I'm looking forward to taking a look at. By the fact I'm going on about skins, you can probably tell that there's not a lot more to say about Traunt's loot drops. He doesn't seem to drop many items, and all too often I saw him dropping low rarity gear. I would like to let everyone know that all of these fights were on Mayhem 3 as well, so it's not like I was getting bad drops because of being on too low a difficulty. Despite generally having some bad luck with Traunt, there were a couple of drops towards the end of my farming session which I was really happy to get. These were the Phase Zerker and Dragon legendary class mods for the Siren. Now these class mods on their own aren't all that rare, but the really important part about these specific ones I got was that they each came with a plus 25% weapon damage effect. It's a ridiculously powerful effect that seems to have just been haphazardly put in the pool of random effects that these mods can spawn with. Simply by equipping one of these class mods, I found my fight with Traunt became significantly easier. Probably about 25% easier. Speaking of fighting Traunt, let's go over what the fight itself is actually like. Once you drop down in the arena, Traunt will be waiting for you. He has a mix of fire and ice-based attacks, so having resistances to either or both of these elements can be a great boon that will help you stay alive. I find there are 2 main ways to fight him, either by staying on the ground level and fighting close up, or by sticking to the edges and picking away at Traunt from a distance. If fighting on the outskirts of the arena, Traunt will struggle to hit you directly, but he does summon some elemental balls that will fly around the perimeter, dealing significant damage if you come into contact with them. Whilst dodging these things, you will also need to face off against the Malabon troopers who spawn in, meaning your attention is often split, slowing how quickly you can kill Traunt. If you go for the close-up option like I did, then you can keep the pressure on Traunt, but you will also be at more risk from his various attacks. His standard close-range ice and flamethrower attacks can be easy enough to avoid, but the real tricky parts are when he coats the ground in either element. This will then mean you need to be cautious as to where you're standing, or else end up taking damage over time, which got the better of me a few times whilst playing. As for actually killing Traunt, the main thing will be getting through his shield. A nice strong shock weapon will serve you wonders here. Partway through farming, I realised I had a Stormfront grenade from my previous boss farming session, so I was able to equip that and spam it at the start of the fight to significantly quicken the pace of things. After the shield is dealt with, Traunt's actual health bar likely won't seem all that difficult to deal with. Just make sure you don't give him too much time to breathe, and lay into him with all you've got. Traunt is a boss based around the heavy Malabon troopers, and, just like them, he has a ball just above his head which is his crit spot. Focus your fire on this and you'll have a much easier time in the fight. Overall, I feel that Captain Traunt isn't worth farming. As far as I can tell, there are no drops specific to him, he can actually be a somewhat challenging fight, and there's just easier bosses to kill who seem to drop good loot more consistently. I went into my farming session with high hopes, but I've left it feeling a little disappointed. Although you could well end up with some good gear from Traunt, you also could get that gear from just about any other boss. With the fact he's fairly out of the way and a little annoying to farm at times, I personally would not recommend doing so. Anyway, that's it for this episode of Should You Farm It? Sadly, Traunt didn't live up to my expectations, but there's still plenty more bosses to farm, which means plenty more episodes to come. If you want to make sure you catch those episodes, then hit the subscribe button and click that notification bell. If you enjoyed this video, then leave a like, and let me know in the comments if you've had better luck with farming Traunt than I did. As always, thanks for watching. Sarge out.